The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, welcome to the weekly Noyantis Usergroup meeting. Today is the 24th, wow, 24th of February 2020. Myself and John are your hosts. As always, if you've got any ideas or problems or queries or solutions, feel free to raise your hand and we'll get the microphones opened up accordingly. Okay, I was just showing John that, so that wasn't what we were going to cover today. This was actually to do with update it. Me and John were just quickly chatting about the data going to update it. Okay, updates. There's a number of products pending update at the moment. I need to actually sit down and finalize a couple because we've probably got 3, possibly 4 products all currently in dev in various different percentages of development too, which is nice. But yes, I will get the updates out ASAP. Docking panes is definitely the first probably to get released, followed by report control, both of which have had some nice changes and still got some other changes going too. Alan is staying, got no sound. John, I take it you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, he can hear. That's good. Actually, Alan's one of the one. I will open the mic up. And Roberto can hear us. Yes, Alan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yes, I was just saying about the updates, and I know one of the ones which you need to get your hands on sooner rather than later is the beta to the docking pane. So, if you don't mind a zip file, I can fire a zip file over to you of the beta of the particular version. Apply it. Obviously, back up your current setup as you would. I'd always recommend. Apply the new one over the top and see how it performs for you. Does that sound okay?
I'll be happy to do it, and I'll send you a report as soon as we get it done.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. I'll do it. I'll see if I can even get the zip together after this webinar, depending on the length of the webinar. Last week was a 2.5 hour webinar, so we won't do that one this week. I feel a little tired actually, so we definitely won't do that one. But yes, basically, I will get it straight after the webinar's finished. I will get it zipped up and in the correct Clarion formats, if you will. So it will be accessory template win and accessory libsource win. So you should just be able to copy the content straight over your current setup.
Gotcha. All right, that's good news.
Okay. There is the integrated save and restore isn't in that version, but I don't think you're really testing it for that point of view. You're testing it for the stability, if I remember rightly.
Correct.
Yeah. So let's get that to you. That, not this application. That's Turandot version 1. We don't want that, but schedule it, which I'm going to actually cover this in a second for Bijan. This makes use of it quite heavily. And it's, I don't know if it's an English saying or whether it translate, but it's chalk and cheese. Basically, stability before compared to after, when it's in heavy use like this, it's much better. So I've got a real good feeling about it. Won't say we won't have any hiccups, but they should only literally be, and hiccup we just cover and we'll just get them addressed. So, okie dokie. All right. So, questions are still watching. Bijan, do you have any examples for the menus you're using here? So I'm just going to open Bijan's microphone up. Hi, Bijan.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
Yes, fine. Thank you. Yourself?
Great. Thanks. Yes. Hi, John. Hi, everyone. So I have been using the command bar, and I've kind of created something similar to this, but I like the way, this menu kind of like you can drop down, you can drill down, almost like drill down. I like that. I like to use that instead of the command bar, the Noyantis command bar, the CodeJar command bar. So how did you accomplish this? Like, what do you have an example app that I could start with, or can you just show maybe quickly how you're doing this menu here?
I can show you in here, and I'll show
Great.
you maybe another little one which we've covered. I won't go into all the
Great.
training, but where we've covered in other parts. And the tools which are in use here are docking panes. You don't necessarily need to use the docking panes, but they are, I'm just saying what's used in here. So this can be folded back should it be needed to, that kind of thing. If you don't want to get that functionality, which you don't have to, then you don't need the docking pane part. So it's as simple or as complex as you want to make it, really. So on the left is a task panel, and then I'm using docking panes as I mentioned, and each window that opens basically has a command bar across the top. So the window, if you will, starts where you can see this here. We use a command bar to double up as our title, but also the actions that a user can perform on that. We're using a report control, but that's kind of irrelevant. And we're using a command bar also for the filter. So I can say, okay, only show me the W's, things like that.
Cool.
Okay, so you've got that. Now, just let me find another example which goes just one step further. And depending on the complexity of your menus, you might need this as well. So just let me take a quick look.
Yeah, while you're looking there, the only question I have is on the reports, because we have like, I think more than 75 reports in this app, and then some of them are in the subgroups. So I'm thinking maybe for that, I will still need the menu bar. You think I should leave a menu bar there for additional functionality like the reports?
Not necessarily, because let's just take a look at this. So this is a training app. Now, what we've got on this is similar type approach, as you can see from the app behind it. We've done the docking pane to do our placeholders, if you will. Then we've got a shortcut bar on the left, which then allows you to have different bars. And this is where, imagine the structure of your menu, which in some systems, as you just said, 75 reports. Some can have quite a few particular options as the systems get more complex. So you wouldn't have a menu bar with all the options just on, basically under one drop down. You would put them into categories like browse and update, or in this scenario, a diary, the clients, the suppliers. So you categorize the menu options to make it more intuitive for the user. And the shortcut bar is pretty good for that. So we can see here, we've got a shortcut bar on the left. Here's the different bars. And then the actual content of those bars can be anything you like. So these can be a task panel. So I've got one task panel here in the background, but that can be just one task panel within one bar. Likewise, you could actually have that as a command bar being used as a piece of content within a shortcut bar. So then that gives you the ability to have your pop-outs. So you could have different categories of, so for example, you could have one bar saying reports. Now let's say you've got 4 categories of reports: clients, sales, purchasers, and suppliers or vendors. Then you could have 4 options here, each a command bar option as a pop-up. And then when you click on that, it would pop out and give you all the relevant options. So you're actually using a command bar, just one bar of a command bar within the piece of content of the shortcut bar. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or have I just kind of lost you?
No, it makes sense. Yeah, no, I follow you. Yeah. Okay. So just one question: if there were more menu options, like under the clients, will you be able to scroll? If there were like,
Well, if it's a command bar,
there was only
it
3.
would pop out.
It would pop out. Okay.
It would pop out. Well, depending on your design. If you had lots of options, I mean, this could be a task panel in here with lots of options in there. It could be a report control in there, in like a tree.
Oh, I see. Yeah, we could do that.
You've got
Sure.
quite a few options. So if you think, let's just bring Outlook into play. There's nothing private in there, isn't it? Just on my clutter. But imagine, if you will, here on Outlook, we have shortcut bar, which is here. So there's your shortcut bar, just the same.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
So you've got the shortcut bar. Within there, they do have task panels because you can tell how they expand and contract. So you've got your task panels. And then within each task panel, you can have different items. Now, you could accomplish this a couple of ways. There's a tree control in the CodeJock suite, but you could even just use a report control as a piece of content for the task panel. So all of a sudden, you could just have these as a report control. So as I say, you can make the menu kind of as complex or as simple as your option as you really want to
Yes.
make it. Really,
Follow you. I follow
obviously,
you.
you try and make it more simple so it's more intuitive and it's not as scary, if you will, for the actual end user, because nobody wants to go into a system. It might be very powerful and have hundreds of options, but if you present all hundreds of options all at once in and no kind of natural categorizing of them, then they're not going to be able to use the system. It's going to be too much too soon.
I agree. Yeah, and these all look beautiful. All of them are just.
That's Office. I can't take the credit for that.
Yeah, no. I mean, just talking about the one that both of those options are definitely better than anything that Clarion by itself can offer. Obviously, so that's one of the problems that I see. Like if we go to any screen, is that if we design these our apps with these options, with these add-ons, then these won't work in that platform, right? Any screen.
Not the visual UIs. Now, that's a good point, actually. I did mean to actually mention this. I've been waiting to get my hands on any screen, just like everybody else. From an OCX point of view, no. The any screen will not work. Well, it depends on which client you're using, but you got a Windows client. I think you've got a Java client. I forget what the others are, but basically, I got told if an OCX interacted with the UI, so of course all the CodeJock stuff really does, then they wouldn't be compatible. If they don't interact, so the likes of the Chillcat stuff, then that is perfectly fine because they will still work because they just reside on the server, they execute the task on the server, and they just give you results back. So for the likes of the Chillcat and that type of control, they're still fine. They'll still work with any screen. And I believe they'll work with VegRecom, but the CodeJock controls won't. So my idea, and this is only an idea at the moment, but it's something I need to put time to, is people have got their their settings all in our templates. So, for example, the shortcut bar, and within that you might have the task panel or a command bar, but you've put all these settings in there. What I'd like to do is detect that you're running any screen and try and, instead of do the interface into CodeJock, I'd like to do the interface into some kind of React JS instead, and create that. So basically, the templates will continue to work. They just won't use CodeJock. They'll use another library to give you the output. So you'll still have all your settings. You still carry on using the same templates, the same embed points, the same settings, but what's painted is different depending on the destination where it's going. If it's a desktop app, you can use the CodeJock OCXs. Roberto's trying to get my attention. I was going to open the microphone up. Let's just.
Yeah, he wants to join. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's open the mic. He's getting impatient.
Yeah, he wants to show you.
But to answer your question, VegRecom on VegRecom I believe still works. I think that I read on the news groups that on the Windows client they're still expecting it to continue to work as well, which is nice. But on non-Windows clients, no, I think you're still going to struggle. That's where I'm going to try and fill the gap. I make no promises, but that is the intention.
Well, yeah, we just have to wait, I guess, for that that to be released first, so we can then go from there.
Of course. Okay, Roberto.
Right.
Roberto.
Hello.
We've still got to cover this, how to accomplish some of these for Vision in a
Right.
minute, but you just sent me something through, I believe.
I was talking to Dave, and he was looking at how any screen accomplishes the OCX part of it, and they have a method that does away with what Clarion is doing. So you no longer do the event connection with the OCX. You have to use their method, which makes almost everything that you've been working on unusable, even stuff that has no display stuff at all. So it's got to go through their method.
Well, that's not great. Oh, so
Yeah, that's
what
not good. That's not good to know.
So we can see here you've got any screen, add OCX control, else,
Yeah.
and then it's the normal prop create. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
what that's
So
what.
there's a lot of work to do,
Well, actually, no.
and you don't even know if it's going to work the same way that it did before.
The good thing, I might not have that much work to do, because all of our initialization and the commands, so on and so forth, are all based on our Noyantis base class,
Right.
NYS
Now
common.
there's a demo on there on how to add an OCX, and they're just using the Windows calendar. Now, I don't know what part of the Windows calendar isn't graphical.
Yeah, I was going to say that's.
You know, it's like I don't even know if it works with the HTML part. It might be just that that we're trying to make it work with their client version. You know, they had a Java
Windows.
client.
Yeah. Well,
or Windows.
The good news for me, I don't know about other vendors, but that I don't mind this in the slightest, because it's all based on our common class, which means I've just got to add support for this interface to the common class and recompile, basically re-release our products, and they should be any screen compatible then, as
Right.
far as we know. A big question mark over that, of course, but yeah, I don't mind. Basically, each one of these we have our own method for anyway. The get OCX property, the set, that's new. The OCX control add, that we have our own version of. That, the register, the bind, the skip event. Not sure what that's new. But basically, all of the ones which,
you know,
all of the ones which are normal, yeah, the bind, register, get param count, last name, register, get and set. Yeah, we've got the Noyantis base class has all of its own versions of that. So all I've really got to do inside of there is add a new property of any screen active, and execute accordingly.
Yeah, at least it'll get your stuff that doesn't go to video working. Maybe. I don't know. You'd have to test it, I guess. And I think Dave was trying to test it, and he didn't get anywhere.
Okay, I have got the new version. I've just not tried it yet. I've heard, and I don't want to say anything out of line here, but I've read a few scare stories, and it kind of put me off a little, so I just held back.
Yeah,
that's all.
I mean, they don't have a choice at this point. Even if I didn't go with this new menu system, and I use report control heavily. I use the calendar. I mean, without the calendar, especially the timeline view, my app is basically nothing. It's like they're all completely dependent on it now, the users. So it's like, if that visual part of it won't work in that platform, then I just can't use it.
Yeah, you'd have to find some JavaScript, compatible version.
I've got too much time invested in Andy's the Kojak stuff.
Well, as I say, the intention is, where's the schedule icon? There it is. The intention is, because I want these apps to still be able to work on any screen. I've also got plans myself, of course. Work on any screen and work on the Java clients, and on your pad, so on and so forth. So that's the only way I can think of it is, okay, we've all got time, settings, energy, money invested in the templates and using the templates. Then I'll just have to basically, instead of interfacing in with Kojak, find some kind of React library that I work out the code from, and basically generate that output instead.
I see. So, yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, I like to use it, but if because of these controls, my users are just not going to give up any of this.
Yeah.
The report control and the calendar for sure. They're not going to give up those features.
Mhm.
Right. You'd have to find something very, very similar on the web aspect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, a while ago, quite a while ago actually, there was. Let me just.
Have you looked at anything else, Andy?
I purchased this a long time ago. The suite.
Uh-huh.
The intention was to have the templates compatible with this. So we
Right.
asked a long time ago. Now unfortunately, I think the pricing of this has gone crazy compared to when it was first launched. But these are HTML5 controls, and if we look at their particular controls, if you have a look, you've got a grid, report control, you've got the scheduler, calendar, you've got where are the others? Tree grid, calendar, charts. Let's have a look at all of them, because basically they have the equivalent of a one-for-one of the CodeJock suite, but for HTML5. So there's the actual different widgets. Combo box, color pickers, charts, the calendar, ribbon controls, sidebar, so that's your shortcut bar. You have got, we mentioned ribbon, didn't we? Yeah, ribbon. So you've got your command bars, your grid, your report control. You've got basically all the different elements. So that was the intention, and absolutely great. But I won't swear to it. I think the pricing just got a bit.
$4,000
Where did you see? I didn't see.
on license. Go up above where it says license. Keep going down. Yeah, a little bit down. Yeah, there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that is pricey.
it is pricey, but it was nothing like that when I first purchased it. I think I paid something like, God,
If you
it was
click
a
on
few years ago,
commercial,
but it
how
was,
much it is? It's still really expensive, the commercial license.
yeah. So that we're not going down that path. I think when I first purchased it, it was something like $500-600. It was about a similar price to CodeJock, and I thought, well, that's if people are invested and they've got so much in their application, so on and so forth, it's not the biggest switchover to go to that. But then, yeah, they've gone 6, 7, 8 times the price of what they originally were. So no, we won't be going down that. So I'm thinking something like React JS controls, and we'll just have to do some basically just do some have a look around, see what's out there, see what we can get, and basically add. I don't know what these websites are, but basically add support for these. That's the idea.
Or I can just stay with TS Plus. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
That's the.
You could just stay with that, yeah.
That's what I'm going to do, because even if this was available, I'm not going to redesign my app. I'm not going to take because there's so much time over the last year has gone into implementing the report control with the timeline view that customers are happy with now.
Yep.
So for me to redesign it, retest it, I think I'm just going to stay with that for now, at least, until they'll figure out.
Until things have calmed down on the other. Yes, agreed.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely I want to jump in. I'm going to jump into a new UI, and what you have here is awesome. I think I should be able to figure it out from here. If you want to show
I can quickly show
details, it's up to you.
Yeah, don't mind. Let's show you the.
I had a question there on how you divide up the task panel and the. You put each one of them inside a
pane.
A pane, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just take a quick look here. So we've got our navigation on the left, and I've got.
And that's just a normal task panel, right?
It's just a normal task panel hosted in a docking pane, in a pane.
Right.
And then I've got.
Docking pane? Is it a window that you created, or?
No. It's just a. Oh, I use a host window, so I think I've.
Right. So you make a window.
Yeah, I make
put that
a
in
main
there.
window. It's just a basic. This is the actual main
Oh, okay.
window. That contains the docking pane, which we
Docking
mentioned.
pane.
Command bar, which I'll just quick switch back. So you've seen the docking pane is active, like so.
Mhm.
It contains a command bar, which you're looking at across the top here. So
Right.
that is the command bar, and of course I've got my pop-up.
Yeah, I
on
was
there.
thinking you had different windows, and I'm like, well, how does it keep the stuff together?
Well, then what we have, so that's those two. Oh, not that one, sorry, Clarion. Then we have the task panel,
The test panel. And
and I include a report control. Not that I use it, I just include it there because
So where's the shortcut bar?
on this example there isn't a shortcut bar, but I will show you the other one in a second. So what we have is our docking
Mhm.
panes. So in the definition of the panes, let's just take a look. We have our navigation on the left. I want it to be open by default. I've given it some attributes of whether it can be closed and so on. Default size, think of these as percentages, if you will. Okay, 12.5% width, 100% height, that kind of thing. And then you come across to the content, and I say the content is code jot wrapper, Noyantis code jot wrapper, and it's a task panel. So that gives you your navigation on the left.
Mhm.
Then I have the landing page is the dashboard. So I have my dashboard pane. I put this as part of a collection, and that is important. So I put that as part of a collection, and that starts a Clarion window called dashboard. So as you can guess where this is going. This is going to open up and take you immediately to a dashboard snapshot of your business, and then you can go and choose your options off there. So we've got dashboard. Now we've got clients. We saw one of them a minute ago. Clients. If we take a look at clients is part of that same collection. Okay, and that starts a Clarion procedure, as you would expect, called browse clients or BLW clients. And the attribute I want to show here is the two attributes. The last two, auto hide other panes when in the collection. Now remember, all of these panes on the right are part of the same collection. So when you bring clients list, when you select the
So it
client
will
list,
only hide the stuff inside that collection.
it will auto hide the other. So when I switch from appointment,
Or even if it's not in the collection?
if it's not in a collection, it will just leave it open.
Mhm.
So if I go to appointments, my SQL server's something wrong with it, so it's going to go slow. But if I go to the appointments, I've got that. So that's now hidden the client list, and obviously the dashboard pane is also hidden. I go back to here, it hides the appointment and unhides the panes, the clients, which of course is still running on its own thread. Remember before we loaded them and then I press W, so it remembers exactly what it's up to and so on, and takes you back to that running thread.
Do you have an extension to add all those letters the same? Or you
All
had to
the
do that
letters,
manually?
these,
Yeah.
it's just a command bar, and I just create 26.
Right. But you have some kind of extension to just add those?
Yeah, it's called a keyboard.
Good old fashioned.
It's called a keyboard, but I do use one generic embed point rather than the new selection or the new selection of each one of these.
Oh, okay. So
I
you just
use
added
one.
them by code. Okay.
Oh no,
Because
no,
I'm
no.
like,
No. We don't actually on that. I'll show you. Well, I'll show you in a second.
Mhm.
They are all defined, but there's just one embed point to take the actual action.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we basically these are the different panes. So I would have my appointments. So same again. It's part of a collection, the same collection. I tell it to auto hide the others, and the other is lazy open. Don't open the child contents until you selected, because if I come into schedule it, I don't need to open every one of these options. And imagine in your systems, 75, 80, 100 options. You're not going to sit there and wait for all of them to open. So you only open them when required.
But then they stay open.
And then they stay open, but then they close when you close. So that's no problem.
But how do you close it? You can't close them.
You can. You've got a method called close. I don't want them in here. I don't want them to close it.
Hmm.
But I could do if I wanted to.
You could, yeah, okay. When you select one of the other stuff, you could close
Yeah,
it.
you could close it. It's just, which would of course take resources down, but I want to leave them like here. If I go back to my patients, I want to leave them as I left them. So I want to
Right.
restore them as I was. So I am in here, I've got a filter, and I'm on a record.
Right. So when you come back to it, it's on that same.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
a question, Andy. So say like in a conventional app, like so you can open to 3 browsers. So if you like I'm working on Andy on one, and then I want to open up another instance to work on Roberto's and another one on Bill. So if you do that with this design, it's always open in this. It's like a single window, right? So you can't just
No,
open another
you
instance.
could open another. Yeah, you could
You
open
can
another.
open another instance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
How do
definitely.
you do that here? Like on the patient list, say you're looking on Andy and you want to open another patient list.
No, you can't. You can open another instance as your application.
No,
No,
you
no,
can
no.
open another instance of a procedure.
Procedure, yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I want. Because
Yeah, you can
a lot of
do.
times I would be working on 2 or 3 different clients at a time, and I don't want to lose my space there. Maybe
How would you uh, how
I
would
would differentiate them. I would give them each a different pain ID. So let's call
I
them
see.
client 01, client 02, client 03, something like that.
so did you add that to the menu then? So you can define it?
Where
Like
I
a
suppose I
menu
would. Yeah, I suppose if I wanted to. I mean, I wouldn't in this application, but if you did want to put some kind of action, so when you press
or
that,
could you put
it
tabs?
opens.
I guess you could put tabs on the top and and have the different patients.
Yeah. Actually, make me wonder
Because
actually
that'd
whether
be
I should
cool,
keep that.
right? Because
That's
then
not
you can
bad.
have
Yeah. That would work for me too.
Might look at doing that for this application actually. It's not a
yeah,
bad idea.
because then you can have the W's and the P's and the M's,
Yeah,
and you
because
just click on the different tab.
well, it could be you're working on one patient, the telephone rings,
Yeah.
you have to quickly switch
Exactly.
to another one, and then you can close that to go back. So, okay, I might look at adding that and then show you how I did it next week. But
Sure.
you can definitely
Thanks.
do it. That's absolutely no problem. If you remember DMC, JP.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. God bless his
Um,
soul.
yeah, but he used the docking panes and creates them on the fly as required. So when you used to run DMC and then run DMC, there's a band there, isn't there? When you used to run the application and then you say, okay, browse this table, it would create a brand new pane and call one generic procedure. I think John does it in his system as well. So you just keep creating a new pane and calling the procedure as a piece of content for that pane on demand. So you can open then,
Yeah.
you can open the same
Cool.
procedure millions of times if your memory permitted it.
That will work for me. Yeah, that's what I need. Yeah, for sure I need that because a
Yeah.
lot of times even in my own app, like our own little CRM app, we're always doing that. We're logged in from on one browser and then we're doing something else in another.
I forgot to mention actually on this. So we've got this one browse procedure called here, which we mentioned earlier. So we've got client list, which is just one procedure, browse clients. So from here, from that corner to the bottom right, is a client procedure called browse clients. Now on that procedure, I've got my command bar across the top of the title, which I mentioned earlier. But then I'm actually running, that procedure is actually running docking panes as well. So I've got my field picker, which is allowed
Right.
to be folded back. I've got a
You got the
command bar,
form below too.
another bar, just one command bar control, but 2 bars. One a title bar, one as your filter bar. And then I've got 2 panes. One is the report control at the top, and one is calling another Clarion browse, which is the related information. So this is actually another pane at the bottom, which contains child information for the product for the patient that you're on. And we use the commands to pass notifications between the two.
That looks awesome. So I like that.
And the beauty of that is, so this is another procedure called I think it's called browse client, and that is browse client related, and that which is the related information. But I can add numerous pieces of information. I've got some more to go in this, so some more tabs. But I can then reuse that in other places. So in my appointment book, I could let you just put an appointment in. So the plan is, crikey, I really do need to work on my SQL Server. It's running. It's terrible.
Andy, is Schedule It an app that we can download, or what is Schedule It?
It's an application we're working on commercially.
Okay, okay, it's a commercial app. Okay, because I was going to say that it has a lot of nice, menuing, and that could be a good place for us to use as an example. But if it's a commercial app, then no.
It's going to be, yeah.
Okay.
The idea is we could have a docking pane hosting these items, and then that same browse which I've got down here, I could have another instance of it down at the bottom. So as I click on that patient, I've got all the related information for that patient straight at my fingertips, held in a docking pane, calling that same procedure, so another instance of the same procedure, which is exactly what you was after. I could have one instance running here related to Andy Wilton, and I could have another patient, other way around. That instance running there, docked within that docking pane, and then I could have another instance running in the appointment book down at the bottom related to that. So now I've got the same browse related being used multiple times over in different places, which means my maintenance is dead easy. If I want to add new related information, I just add it to one screen, but it's changing multiple places in my application.
That's great. Now, your design, Andy, also solves another problem, and that is, the more and more of our apps are going to be running inside browsers. So the way you've designed it now is you've giving a lot more room to the top by putting the menus on the left, and so you're not going to get your
Of
screen.
course, they are foldable as well.
Exactly. And then so your screen doesn't get cut off, and you're running inside a browser with the address bar and all the shortcut, all the bookmarks added to the browser. You could end up losing some of that area on the bottom. So like some of customers they have to actually run it in full screen mode to be able to function. But with this design, what you've done is you've putting all the functionality on the top, like the new and also the menu is are on the left. Makes it nice.
You're just going to restart it. Not sure what's going on there. What was I saying? That was typical. Nothing like
yes,
a live demo. But let me go back in again. Just going to try that same thing again. Okay, yeah. So we have that. And what I was going to say is we can, of course, fold the menu back. So you can still carry on working and so on and so forth, as you would imagine, but then still bring out the navigation should you need to. That doesn't like.
No.
Oh, okay. And yeah, I've done that, but okay. No, that's something I'm going to have a look at.
Problem with the docking pane that Ale had told you about?
No, I've been using this, so it's got to be something I've just done because I've been doing that. But fine,
I think his would do the same thing. It would crash when it minimize and.
He wouldn't have the new version now. To be fair, this is a brand new version. Oh,
right.
Someone text it. That's the other one. So to go back to the only difference between that and we mentioned the other application, and I'll just bring that into focus, is one was using a command bar. So let me just bring that bring it into here. Won't be 1 second. Right, yeah, that will do. Just bringing it into the into view here. Okay, so this one, once it loads, oh, it wants to be in Clarion 11, that's why. Okay. Sorry about this, everybody. Okay, so for this one, you have a shortcut bar hosting different task panels, command bars, anything you like. Remember, shortcut bar, it could host a date picker, it could host any kind of information. So what have we got in this, for example? That's hosting, looks like it's a task panel, that's a task panel, but then I think this is a command bar. So if we have a look here, and it's all about the hierarchy of what belongs to what. So we've got our host window, very similar to schedule it. Okay, various different controls here. So we've got a shortcut bar, we've got a task panel for the dashboard, we've got a task panel for the diary, task panel for the clients. So we've got lots of task panels really. We go to the highest level, the shortcut bar. Okay, we've got our bars. So when we run this, let me just run this actually so we can relate to it. Okay, so we've got a task panel for the dashboard there. Let's have it there so I can quickly bring it back into focus. One bar, dashboard. The content of that is a code jot control, and it is the task panel dashboard. Then we've got another bar, diary. So this time we go and have a look at diary. Diary's got that's got a task panel. Okay, so we're going to follow this one through. So the shortcut bar diary bar, I should say, sorry. So you've got a shortcut bar control. You've got one bar called diary. That's hosting a task panel. The task panel, if we follow that through, has got a group called diary, and inside of that, what have we said it is? We assign it via code. Actually, showing you some training here. Go to our task panel. In the diary, I actually go and say, okay, for that diary, I want for that item which we just had a second ago, diary bar, I want to set the handle of just one of the bars of a command bar. So I've got a command bar called diary, and I would just want one bar of it to be docked. So I've got you've got your command bar, as you can see there. Then I've got one bar called diary, which contains these three options, and that's where you could have a pop-up, which I mentioned. So you've got all your reports, 75 of them, and so on. You could have your different categories, each one of them being a command bar pop-up, and then you would show those, if you will, at the highest level under here, and as they pop out, that's where you could have the contents of the various different categories of reports. If that
But
makes
they have to be on the same window, right?
If you want to get the handle, they should be, but I think you would do anyway. There's nothing to be gained by putting them elsewhere. Let the host window do all the work for you there.
Right. For example, if you put it on the frame, for example,
I
and you
wouldn't use
wanted
a frame. I would use the frame's not the best vehicle for this. Giving yourself a docking host window is by far the better option.
uh okay.
That's the key to making it all work. So
Right.
we've got this command bar here, and if we look at the actual bars, and we've only got one. Not that one. Where's my other command? There's the other one. I wanted one docked. That's right. One's docked, one's not. And here we've got different bars. So I've got one for the diary options. I've got one for the client, one for the suppliers. But I'm never going to visually show all those bars in a conventional sense.
Yeah.
I'm just using them as a piece of content here.
Right.
Different bars.
So you're just defining them there, but you're not really using them there. You're just grabbing the names.
Grabbing the
from
handle.
there.
Yeah, grabbing the handle of it.
Right. Perfect. So it's just a way to kind of categorize it for later use.
Yeah. And you can then put all your controls in there. So we looked at I've got diary, so I've got my diary calendar, diary staff, diary reserve time. Now, of course, I could make one of those, as I mentioned there, to Bijan. You could make that as a pop-up
Drop down
and have, if you've got client reports, vendor reports, sales reports, then you could have those as a pop-out, and all of a sudden, instead of a pop-out of reports showing 75 options, you can have 3 categories, each showing a smaller subset of options, and so on and so forth. And then you just make your structure to the desired structure as you would want.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it will look better even.
So and that looks like it's overly complicated for this, but the whole point of this was to give training to say, okay, what you can achieve, and yes, we're not going to sit there and do 175 reports just for a training session, but the idea is, as long as you've got the principle for one of them, then you just apply it many times over.
Cool.
Wow, that was quite in depth for
one question.
So, but it's good. The whole point is to show how, and you touched on it a minute ago, that you start to get all of the options working together. So we've got the shortcut bar, hosting task panel, hosting command bar, and so on. In here, we have this is a pop-up for the command bar. So we've got a command bar and we have a pop-up, but that pop-up is actually holding a property grid. So we haven't got a form for our system settings. We've just got a property grid for the system settings, and we talk straight to it there, which is hosted on a command bar. In fact, we do something similar in Schedule It for the day list. So it's for people for appointments, if you will. So I have the day list command bar across the top in the usual style, but then the pop-up and the assigned to the pop-up is an actual date picker control. So I can say, okay, don't know this data. Something on the first, something like that, the first or the second. But anyway, so you get the idea.
Yes, cool. Yeah, definitely a nice UI.
Okay. Any other
Sounds
questions?
good. I'm good. Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
It took too much of the group's time anyway, so let somebody else ask questions now.
So Alan, let's just open up. There you go, Alan. So Alan's just asked, you're a bit nervous. Well, Alan, you've got the microphone open. Feel free to talk.
I'm just curious. All of these different OCXs are great. I'm just curious how stable they are when you get them in. I mean, they look good in yours. Are they?
Well,
how comfortable are you with them?
Prior to Noyantis, me going full time for Noyantis, then I worked at a software house down in Nottingham, writing dental software, dental practice management software for dentists. That didn't use docking panes. Did it use docking panes? Didn't use them for the full navigation. It used command bars, it used report controls, it heavily used the calendar, really heavily used the calendar. It used the report control for both lists and for clinical notes, because then you could basically build a tree of your clinical notes, and you could include basically modified notes, deleted notes, so on and so forth. But point being is that was installed at just shy of 500 different sites, and each one of them sites could range from a single user up to a 20-30 user. So, there was a lot of installations, and that was still running now. And I've been left there 2.5 years, and it was running while I was there for 5 or 6 years. So, that's like a 7-8 year test. That's not a bad test. And that's
Okay.
that's getting
So-
a daily heavy hammering, if you will. So yeah, I really don't see a problem. This system schedule is now gone into beta. There's only a couple of users using it, and so on. It's literally just infancy going into its beta. So I'm quite honest. I mean, you ask there privately, but as soon as people, I'll talk quite honest and open. I'm much more confident in this new build, which I'll pass you. Much more confident. Not sure why I got this before, but that's fine. I'll put some debug in. When I don't know if you saw, but I put that back and I went to bring it back out. But we didn't have that. We had it open. See, I was on here, I think. Yeah, I selected the patient list. Yep, got that open. It's folded itself back.
Okay. Yeah. So
But
basically, what
we saw an issue there before, so I'm not going to try and skirt around and do any trick, sleight of hand and try and. As soon as if I see a problem, I'll say it's a problem and I'll fix it accordingly. But no, as for applications, the calendar, the command bars, the report control. Trying to think of the most the property grid. Oh, the property grid was definitely used in the dental system because it was used for patients' questionnaires. So it was used daily, hourly basis.
Good. That's great. Just so you've got quite a bit of experience using those other guys. So
Definitely,
I'm good.
definitely.
Yes, Alan, and I want to just add a comment to this. I'm also very, very careful about introducing add-ons that I may, not feel comfortable with, with different platforms. But we started with the report control, and then with the calendar, that added the calendar, and I wanted to test it in different environments. So we tested it on the TS Plus environment, with different servers, and even some people that run our software, on their own location, on their own servers. And in all cases, it works fine. They can run it. I was also hesitating, but it works great. The only thing is that in some cases, obviously, you have to run. The registry really helps the product, because the registry makes it work in different platforms. But in some cases, you do need to run as an administrator to be able to get the high elevation to be able to register the UOCX. But other than that, I mean, it works beautifully.
Yeah. Well, we've been using Calendar for several years now, and it's been absolutely flawless. So good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Alan. The only one I would say, if we had an Achilles heel, a weak spot, it would have been the docking panes, and that's why it's had this new build. In some respects, this will scare people as well, but it's had basically re-engineered from the ground up. So as I said before, I'm hoping I've not introduced any funnies. In fact, if anything, I found a couple of settings which were basically. What was my setting? Let me just go into one of the sources. I'll just
Oh, do we have this new build?
No. Alan's going to be the first to get it. Actually,
I'm crying. I'm crying.
It was. You could have, I think, on one of the examples that Alan sent through. In fact, Alan, do you mind if I just show one of the examples?
No, that's fine.
Yep.
And that example is actually a simplified version of what I'm trying to do.
I had a couple running, a couple of different tests. So just let me see if that's one of the ones. Now I'll tell you what the setting was, and how it was working, but it shouldn't have actually been working beforehand. So it might catch people, because now it's a bit like as things evolve, you basically you fix things, and it might catch a few people out. Right, no, we're in that one, but that's to do with layering. I don't know if anyone uses layering. So basically, the child takes the place of its parent, and then you close off the child. Basically, if you're in an MDI form, you call a form from a browse, then you can have it automatically take the place of its parent, even though you don't assign it via code. It just knows what thread it's on. And
But that was not MDI though.
the form, but not a form is, well, this one is MDI. A form's normally MDI.
No,
A browse and a
because
form.
it should be inside the frame. And it's not inside the frame.
Let me check the settings on that. Yeah, no, you would normally
You
have
see,
that.
that's
I'm
the
sure you
frame
would.
there. That was the frame, and so that window isn't MDI. See, that's the frame there. That one's outside
Oh,
the
sorry,
frame.
that's outside the frame. Sorry, yes. But then your parent, if you call a form off a browse, you can't get back to that browse until the form's closed.
Oh, I see. That's what
Yeah.
you're talking about, the
Yeah.
MDI frame.
So,
Okay.
and then the MDI, so you can, if you want, have it take the place of its parent, and you don't have to do any code for it. You just say that the form is allowed to be used in such a manner should you want it to be, and then we call a lookup, which then will take the place of its update form. But that's by design. That could be a little confusing, but that's not what I was looking for actually. That's the wrong example. But that's one of the tests I've been doing with having the debug turned on and seeing what's going on underneath the surface. Oh, it wasn't that one. Where's the other? Testing, report control. Nope.
There we are. That's it.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Might have changed a couple of settings, but I tested it with your raw one and then
Because
me
it's
playing
got
it.
Alan there. That's why he knows. See.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's, we had these ones, and these are set to now load. What you would have got previously, just let me close that.
I wouldn't have gotten that far. It would have GBF'd.
What I'm just going to explain then is we've got one pane here on the left running a child procedure. That's running a child procedure, child procedure, child procedure. Then you've got a child procedure in the center, which in turn is running 3 panes. So now what would have happened previously is they would have all opened, as you would have expected, and these 3 would have opened as well. Now, even if lazy open was turned on, all 3 of those would have opened. And that's what I was finding. But if lazy open's turned on, then they shouldn't open until they've been told to. So when I go to pane 3, you'll see
Until you click it.
you
Yeah.
click it, yeah. And then so there's no flicker the second time you go to it, because now they are running as you would expect them to be. So I even found that, and that, so you're going to get a few people who might get caught out by the new one, because where's the dummy center? Is it that one? I don't know. I'm going to that far. Only wants the pane. Nope, not that one. Yeah, center top. Center top calls Alan tabs pane. Definitely yours, this Alan.
Yeah.
So that means that this version has less flicker than the previous one?
You will, yeah, if the lazy open's turned on, yeah.
If it's turned on, then you get flicker, right?
Well, previously, like say, that's turned on, but you would have still got that open. When you go into that center pane, you'd have got panes 1, 2, and 3 all open because they were basically being used in this.
Then you get the flicker because they're all opening.
Yeah. Whereas now you won't. because if we go back to that, if the very first time, I don't know if the recording is getting it across, but if I go across and go to pane 2 now, you'll see pane 2 open and resize. So watching around here, and then it goes to the center. So watch. Yep, and that's it opening and then resizing. Same when you go to pane 3, open, resize. But now it's open.
Yeah, now you don't get the resizing.
But previously you would have got all three because they were attached to each other like so, and on show you would have got them all three of them opening. It didn't need to. If I'm going to here, I shouldn't be activating those until required if lazy open is turned on. But previously it would have done it regardless of the lazy open setting. I mean, technically, the right one here.
Right. So lazy open is fixed now, let's say.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. After all that. Not that one. If I go to that parent one, and if I said the pane on the right, there's our pane's right center. So if I turn lazy open on there, now this is probably a question, but that won't open because I've not actually told it to open until I activate this.
And there's no way to. Oh
Yeah. When I've activated it. Yeah, when I've activated it. But
it did resize it though. It did put the sizing.
Oh, the panes will the pane manager as
but
in all the percentages.
Okay, but not the information inside. Okay,
Yeah.
the control.
So let me just do that one again. So I've said this time I want that to only basically have its content when I activate the pane. When I click on that pane, it will then open its child. But that's only because I've now turned lazy open on. Now, of course, in this design, you wouldn't want lazy open to be turned on.
Right. Not for that control.
No, but that's what I mean. So the lazy open wouldn't have been taken into effect previously, and it should have been.
So when do we get it?
Oh, crikey. Been promising for so long. You know, I will get it. Well, Alan's going to get it possibly zipped today. Yeah, after the webinar, I'll zip it up. I'll put it in the particular format. Roberto, if you want a beta, but it's a beta, please bear that in mind. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, please bear that in mind. But I'll send a beta across to yourself.
All right. Yay.
So that's exactly where we are up to. So we covered a bit there. But Alan, you are right in you've had a bad experience on some of the docking panes, and I will genuinely say that has been a bit of our Achilles heel. But going forward, no, I don't expect it to be in the slightest.
I'm glad to be of help.
So, and the current updates, obviously, report control. I did some speed tests actually on report control the other day regarding loading speeds to see if I could squeeze any more out. And I found where, I don't know if I can fix it, but I found where a bit of a slowdown is. So I'm currently, one of the next report control updates might include a speed enhancement as well. Personally, I don't have too much of a problem with the speed, but I was trying it in a particular scenario where it was loading 9,000 records for a quick lookup. So of course it was taking nearly 2 seconds, which was just too long. So the next one might have a bit of a speed increase. Fingers crossed. Okay. Any other questions? No. Well, we might wrap up, and then Alan can get his zip, and Roberto can get his zip file. A bit normal.
We'll see you soon, huh?
So
in South Africa.
Oh yes. Oh, I should really give that another plug, only because it's just promising to be a really good event. It really is. I think we mentioned the training. Let me just bring up the page, just so if anyone's interested on how the training will be going. That was who's there? Schedule. So we're scheduled to do. We're going to focus purely on a couple of elements. One is the calendar. Roberto, I think you'll like this, because what I want is we're going to go through the calendar. We're going to go through some new settings which will be available prior to that, and one of the settings will be having the calendar auto syncing with Google via the template, not via embedded code. We might have to get our hands dirty in some code, but I want the calendar just like
You're finally going to give out your inside knowledge, huh?
yes, yeah. So so that's one of the contents, and the other is accounting APIs. And we're going to actually create I'll probably put the example up together before the event, but that will be basically talking to QuickBooks and Sage, Xero, MYOB, those types of things. And what we'll do is I'll put a small example application showing clients, vendors, and what we'll do is we'll populate an empty data sets, the application empty data sets from the external accounting system. We'll synchronize, we'll show how you change your design in your application to synchronize the data in, and have it so you can do the changes and post that data back out again. And we'll want to follow the whole process through, from bringing down general ledgers, tax rates, currencies, clients and vendors, that kind of thing, to doing the actual transaction and posting those back up again to whatever, Xero or QuickBooks, whichever we take, and so on. And also some of the other things which go on behind the scenes. So that's gonna we've only got half a day for that. So we're gonna that's gonna be good. That's gonna keep us really busy. So if that's of interest.
So with the communication to Google, is that being done through the Chillcat?
All of our stuff will be done through the Chillcat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's training on our products, like Bruce is training on on his products, of course. This part, obviously the conference part, no, they are, like John's doing some on the Ultimate API, and I'm doing some on the top APIs to use. These are just example ones which I think people will find useful, like currency exchange rates. That's just
Are you
one
using
example.
NetTalk with that, or are you using?
I'll be using 2 or 3. I'll be using NetTalk. I'll be using, because these are just for Clarion knowledge. So I'll be using NetTalk. I'll be using Chillcat, and I might even attempt to try and use Clarion's own built-in comms. But I've never had too much luck in the past. But I will try, just in the interest of fairness.
Yeah, they do have the the web. What's it called? The web HTML whatever it's called, web sockets.
Yeah. I've tried it in the past. I didn't have too much luck, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
That's not. I don't mean to be derogatory and so on. I'm just personal experience. I didn't have too much luck. But by the same token, these are I don't want this tied to be just Noyantis stuff. It's not. This is Clarion knowledge. So I'll be using NetTalk to do one of the examples, or a couple. I'll be using definitely the Chillcat stuff to do a couple of the examples. And if we can, because how long is that? It's only 45 minutes. Yeah, we shall see. And if we can use the Clarion, I will. But the idea is really to people, to go into looking at a published API and basically how to do it. And we'll have a look at maybe address validation, things like that.
All right.
So, okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Yeah, enjoyable webinar. Really good. Until next week. I shall see you all then. Alan, Roberto, watch through your mailboxes accordingly for a zip file.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Yep. Bye.